How often do clients send back revisions because the article you wrote was too closely related to somebody else's work? I know I've had one in Textbroker where the client used Copyscape and decided that the percentage was too high for comfort. I'm Michael with WriterSanctuary, and today I'm going to show you how to reduce the risks of duplicating content as a freelance writer. Now, duplication and copying is a serious problem. While some things simply cannot be avoided given the topic or even just the sheer vastness of the internet, it's always best to try to be as unique as humanly possible. The last thing you want is someone calling you out on copying someone else's content. You or the client could even suffer a legal removal claim from Google. Now, some clients will give you a website as a reference to guide what your content is about. In fact, a reference article is needed if you're doing the skyscraper technique. This is when you find a piece of content and try to make it longer and better. In any case, using the other article as a reference should only influence how you're structuring it, not the content itself. This is especially true if you're trying to write long-form content. For instance, let's take an easy article from WP Beginner. We'll do showing your latest Pinterest pins in WordPress. As you can see, it's relatively basic. It gives a bit of information about how to use a specific plugin and a bit of coding that you can try out. Now I'm going to use this as a reference to plan out my content and headers. To do this, I use WordPress as mine is built with Yoast SEO and a few other tools I use for writing. First, I'll add the header to the plugin that I'm going to show off. So for this example, I'll be using GS Pinterest Portfolio to add Pinterest pins to the sidebar, which is completely different than the example that WP Beginner gives. Then I'll add something extra at the beginning, such as why show the latest Pinterest pins on the website or something similar. And if the reference article is using a why question in this fashion, I'll go into further detail, or I'll add a different point, such as will adding Pinterest pins slow down the website. Get creative and come up with something that makes your piece stand out from the reference article. Questions are always a good way to go, and you can find what people are asking for in a Google search. After that, and because I know this article is going to be short anyway, I'll add a section after the actual tutorial for other plugins to show Pinterest pins in the sidebar. Usually I'll add 3 if I can find high-rated plugins for this purpose. So I'll create 3 H4 subheaders for each plugin that I find. And most of the time I'll add maybe 2 or 3 sentences breaking down each plugin and why the reader would want to use them. If I can't find any other plugins, I'll just simply delete these headers and do something else. The point is to flesh out the topic a bit to make it better than the reference article. And then at the end, I will add a closing statement of some kind, kind of breaking down what the article is all about. It's always good to have a conclusion. Now when it comes to writing the content, I don't even look at the reference page. I simply make sure I have keywords in the article that I'm targeting and that I write from experience. I follow my outline and then I just write. And as you can see, in comparison to the reference article, I'm already giving people a reason why they should want to put Pinterest pins on their website, and I give them a few separate options if they don't like the one I'm using in the tutorial. So already I'm one-upping WP Beginner. And I haven't actually wrote a single word of content aside from the headers. Now what if the reference article is in regards to something you don't know? Always research the piece and write the explanations in your own voice. Sometimes this requires a little bit of digging through Google, but the end result is being able to supply information that isn't necessarily copying directly from the reference article. This is when I'll usually add in more facts or break down certain pieces of the topic. And probably one of the best ways that you can avoid copying other people's content is by using Copyscape. Now Copyscape has a free tool where you can compare one piece of content to another. But you need to keep in mind that the topic itself is going to influence the score. Some things just can't be explained in more than one way. But you need to get your content below 20% duplicated if possible. Personally, I strive for 10%, but like I said, not everything can be explained in multiple ways. I'll include the link to the free Copyscape checker tool in the description down below. But here is how you use it. Now, the first thing you want to do in Copyscape is paste your text in the item 1 field. That's all of this right here. Then you can either copy the text from the reference article or use the URL to compare the items. Now personally I'll use compare as it only pits my text against theirs without other elements in the website interfering with it. So we'll go back to our reference. We'll grab all the text that's in the website article all the way down to the bottom. Copy. Go back to the compare, paste, and then hit the compare items button. Then the system will give you a breakdown comparison of the two texts. You'll find the duplicate content percentage next to each article, but you want to pay attention to the reference piece the most, which is this one right here, the 2% matched. Now you want this to be as low as you can get it, which means you can scroll down to see what things are similar. See, there's 4 here. That's it. Wow, that's pretty impressive, actually. Now, some things you're not going to be able to surpass, like stuff like your latest pins are, you just can't get around certain things, which is okay. But you want to find other ways to describe your material. Don't just swap out the words. Remember, you want to be as unique as you can. Clients love having original work, which is why I try to explain things differently, but in a way that still makes sense to the reader. The important thing to keep in mind here is just how much content there is on the internet. You'll never get a 0% rating in Copyscape or any other plagiarism checkers simply because of the amount of content that is produced daily. But you can avoid duplicating the content and making your piece stand out more by diving deeper into facts. So what tools do you like to use to make sure you're not copying the work of others? Leave in the comments down below. Personally, I like the free tool at Copyscape, and I also like the Copy Leaks tool, and I'll leave them both in the descriptions down below. Anyway, if you find the video informative, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos about freelance writing, text broker, or any of the other topics that I cover, hit the subscribe button. I think that's going to do it for me today. I'll see you next week.